Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, where we go across country and travel the world with members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Let's go. So welcome, everyone. We love our food and wine and travel shows with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. And today we are going down under on some rail adventures. I know wine is involved. I know good food is involved because Australia, they know what they're doing when it comes to food and wine. And it's a continent. It is. It is just this amazing continent. It's massive, and train travel, I think, would be the way to do it instead of flying, and you get to actually see the scenery. So we have Pam and Gary Baker, our food, wine, travel writers. You can go to pamandgarybaker.com. They are members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Pam, you are now the marketing chair, right? And we say IFWTWA, it's easier. So you can go to IFWTWA.org. Is that good? Got to get the marketing in. You're on the show. How long have you been members of IFWTWA?
Oh, gosh, I think about 6 years. We've been writing for longer than that, but I think we discovered IFTWA about 6 years ago, and it's been a great experience.
Yeah, and you've done a lot of wine writing for them too.
Well, yeah, I think for 4 years I wrote a wine column for them every month. And then we have done some wine articles. I think Gary did an article about Chilean wine one time, and yeah, that was.
I think I did. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I just did a podcast with an IFTWA member, Debbie Stone, yesterday on a different podcast on Chile. And we started talking about the wine, and Chilean wine is, the world of wine is pretty cool. We have to say.
Delightful.
So I want to know a little bit before we get into, hop on the train and get all on board, right? How you both got into the world of travel, food, and wine writing. So Gary, what is your background and what led you into it?
Well, my background in terms of work, I was a pointy-headed bureaucrat for the state of California for about 30 years.
You need wine.
Yeah. So after I retired, I sort of reinvented myself as a writer. Thanks to Pam, who was the editor of a local magazine, and she needed a content writer. So guess who got hired?
Very good, Pam. So what led you into the writing field?
Well, also, like Gary, I worked for the state of California for 37 years, and I worked in IT, a very, very
wow,
very different field. But
you need wine too.
Yes, exactly. We always loved traveling. We have a daughter who's lived all over the world. In fact, she lives in Australia now.
Well, good for her. She's got wine.
Everybody has wine. So we started traveling, and we thought, we love traveling. Why not see if we can write? So we went, we took some courses. We went to a workshop. We learned how to market ourselves. And like Gary said, I got lucky. I had started writing for a local magazine and then suddenly became the editor. And that gave us an opportunity to build up our portfolio, and we went from there.
I love this. Well, this is such a good story about doing the actual work and building up, and going into a different career. That is always, people think, one and done, and it's not true. Especially these days, it's and writing. And I love that you were doing workshops and doing the education part. I think there's something with that that's so important too. But travel writing, whether it's food, wine, trains that we're going to talk about. I'm so excited about this topic because I know we have so many train traveling, there's something, it's not even just a travel, it's the history of rail that is so fascinating. But, going into the actual writing part of it, because when you travel, there's always these extra things. Like if you go to a national park and you go in a park ranger program, it's like a whole different world. And as travel writers, we get to get a little bit more of the inside scoop than a regular traveler. And then you don't want to keep quiet about it. Do you feel that, Pam, when you write? When you travel, do you want everyone to know where you went? And come on, you all have to experience this.
Absolutely. I get a lot of pleasure out of writing. And the beauty of being a travel writer is that we've had experiences we would never have had as ordinary travelers. Especially when you're working for a destination marketing organization, you really get to see behind the scenes. You get to see unique things. And yeah, I really enjoy it.
Gary, going from the bureaucratic side of life and then into the travel world. Does it feel like humanity is a little bit kinder and better when you travel, that we all actually can be more, a little bit more united through travel? Do you feel that? You've
Oh,
been doing
sure.
all of,
That comes
yeah.
across almost immediately, not just in the actuality of traveling through airports and being processed in a proper and professional way. There's a lot of collaborative work that goes on there. Plus, actually being in a place that you feel passionate about, that you want to advocate about writing, so you can share more
Mm.
with people. That again makes it more of a collaborative or collective experience.
It is. You're right. Travel does create collectivity. That's a good word. I like that. Oh, well, you're writers. There you go. Well, let's get on board because this is so cool. So you went through one rail company and they offer different excursions, right? So from what I've gathered, you've got a list of articles and everyone, these are all linked in the episode notes. So this is all through Journey Beyond. So we're going down under to Journey Beyond. That's what's happening. You can go to journeybeyondrail.com.au. The link is in the episode notes. So you went on a Great Southern train travel. I'm trying to get into Indian Pacific travel. And you went aboard the Ghan. Am I saying that right? Ghan?
Yep. The
Those are the
So,
3. Yes.
okay. So is this part of the history makeup of Australia where they had to have rail travel just, when the world opened up to trains? But I look at Australia's mining history and I wonder if trains were part of that. Do either of you know about that part, or is this mostly just a train for let's have fun, eat food, drink wine, and sightsee?
Well, contemporarily, it is that experience right now. They're quite adequate in handling people in a luxury setting, food, wine, accommodations, off-train excursions. But initially, particularly with the Gone, and that's where the name the Ghan comes from. It was the Afghan cameleers who led a lot of the mining and exploration of the outback initially. And after several years, it evolved into train travel to transport mining properties and things that they found. But initially, it was the work of the Afghan cameleers that took people into Australia's outback to the red dirt of the Northern Territory. So it was an evolution from camel to train. That's why the Ghan, for example, has as its icon a camel.
That's so interesting because we have that in this country. Like if you go to where Southern California meets Arizona, Lamas in that area, and then up to Quartzsite, Arizona, we had camels. And it was our military who brought them over back in the day of World War
Goodness.
II. And we brought in and brought in people from the Middle East to bring the camels. And we thought we could use the camels. In fact, there's a monument called High Jolly in Quartzsite to the camels. And even in Texas, this is also history, it goes all the way to Texas of what we were doing is like we thought we could use camels at the time. It did not work, but there are camels. And I've actually seen someone walking a camel through the desert of Glamis in Southern California. And I'm like, what? I haven't had wine yet. What am I looking at? Is this real? Because the sand dunes are like, it's like the wrong color, but it's like the Sahara Desert out there. So it's pretty interesting. It's interesting to hear this. I think it's going to be all that same time frame then where camels were being used. They're the ships of the desert. And the outback, wow. So you got to go through the outback on a train.
Yes, we did.
A lot
Yeah.
easier than back then.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. That's more convenient.
So
Much more well attended. Yeah.
when you did these train trips, Pam, I want to ask you about this because I know as ladies, we want to know, are we sleeping on the train? Are we getting a hotel in between? What are the facilities like in these kinds of excursions and how did that work?
Well, as Gary mentioned, these are luxury train trips. And so everybody has their own cabin with their own bathroom. Two different categories. There's the gold level and there's the platinum level, which is even a larger cabin. For the gold level, you have a bed down below and then a bed up above. And then during the day, the cabin attendant comes in and puts the beds away and turns it into a couch. So you have a place to sit and relax during the day. You don't need a hotel room. You sleep on the train all night
Oh,
long.
wow.
And then I think it's every 3 carriages has their own Outback lounge where you can go and have drinks and meet other people. And then they have their own restaurant, and the food is gourmet. Nothing to worry about there. You wanna stay on the train.
So you're on the train, you're experiencing the views, and so it's better than flying.
We have a saying, the beauty of traveling by train is that you can see the country in a way that an airplane simply cannot provide. And
Mm,
Gary will elaborate a little bit more on that.
mm,
Well, I would say in comparison to train to air travel that, unlike modern day air travel, which in my opinion sort of insulates you and buckles you up into a seat where you don't have much interaction, maybe except for the person, sitting next to you. The train is more open. You
mhm,
can move about more. Not only is the pace a little more slowly, but it's very convivial. You interact with people. The passageways are narrow. You get to know people because you have to adjust as you walk through the narrow passageways.
mm,
It's not like a 787. It's
mm.
more like a place. The train for me is more like a rolling village. It doesn't remove you from the passing countryside, nor does it separate you much from your passengers. You
Mm.
can make some really good friends quickly on the train.
Yeah, it's kinda like a cruise ship, but you're actually on land, right? Obviously, but on a plane, I think the pilot has the best view on the plane. I think the pilots are the ones who are being able to see, what's going on, and I think they have awesome views, but does you have a window seat? Like, I always want the window seat. Like, please don't make me look at people's legs. I don't wanna do it, but I want
Right.
the window seat, but the train there's just something, even the rocking of it. I think one of your articles, you talked about this vibration, and I know a lot of people feel that as well about sailing and cruising, that there's something about being on water where there's this rhythm to it that is just it feels good. Pam, is that for you? That rocking feeling? Like, well, it's a chugging on a train, right?
I would say it was more like rocking, like a gentle
Mhm.
rocking and easy to fall asleep to and stay asleep on the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely comfortable.
Could be relaxing, calming.
Yeah. And you have wine on the train, right? Australian wine.
Australian wine from the Hunter Valley, Barossa Valley. You have the best wine on the train.
Oh my gosh.
I think I even wrote a column about the wine aboard the Indian Pacific. Maybe it was that train ride. Anyway, I wrote a column specifically about that
Mhm.
because you get the best on these train rides.
Now, do you get to get off the train? Do they stop ever? Do you get to get off, do an excursion, or is it we're moving?
Nope. Each one of the train rides have off train excursions. And we can talk a little bit about them,
Mhm.
and that's probably the difference between the train rides. It's not just the routes, but you're gonna see different things. You're stopping in different parts of the country. But yeah, the off train excursions are wonderful.
So let's go to the first let you because you got three different experiences. What do you want to talk about? Let's do the Indian Pacific. You want to do that one first?
Think so because the Indian Pacific was and we were talking about this yesterday and trying to decide what our favorite train ride was, and it was that was our very first train ride. We were
Oh, the very first one, like the first
Yeah.
one. Okay.
In Pacific was the very first one. We took that in January of 2019, and we were fairly
Oh,
new.
right before COVID. Good one.
Yes, right before
Good. And then you see Tom Hanks on the TV and you go, "Uh-oh, and I'm in Australia too."
and we had secured 3 assignments, and we were going to Australia anyway to see our daughter, to spend Christmas with her, and we got invited to take this train ride. It goes from Sydney to Perth or vice versa, and that was an interesting ride because we stopped at a mining town. I think that was our very first stop, and then we stopped in Adelaide where you had your choice of visiting a museum in Adelaide or going to McLaren Vale wine country. And then we had a stop after we left Adelaide in Rawlina, right? That was an Australian. It was big tables lined up under the stars where they served Australian roast lamb and other
Uh,
cuisine. And Australian wine. Yeah,
wow.
the off-train excursions are top rate as well as being on the train.
Okay.
Typically very, very historical in orientation, and at least informative, along with beautiful scenery.
Mm.
They make a point of stopping somewhere that's very dynamic.
I love that you're having this dinner under the stars because that's kind of gives you a sense of place, you know?
Yes.
So you get to meet the locals doing that too.
Actually, not so much. They use an abandoned rail station to set this up, so you're mixing
But that's kind of
amusement.
cool though.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, and it's beautiful. You are out there on the Null Arbor Plains, which Null Arbor in Latin means no trees, and it's gorgeous because there's no city around, so you can see all the stars.
That's cool. I really want to go to Australia. I can't believe we didn't do it when we were living there, but life is life. Running a magazine was busy. But the thing is, I mean, it's such a diverse place to be. So do these train rides give you like a really good view of Australia, like of the actual terrain, the desert, the lushness as
Definitely.
well? Yeah.
So on the Indian Pacific, I think that we saw more of the country on that train ride because you pass through 16 different landscapes on that train ride.
Wow.
So at one point,
Wow. No, I mean, really.
yeah,
Wow. That's pretty epic.
at
Yeah.
one point we're looking out and it looks like what you would expect to find in Africa. And then a few hours later, you think you're in the wheat fields of Nebraska.
Really?
You really get to see so much on that train ride.
What was the average time you were on the trains? I know each one's going to be a little different, but
I think the Indian Pacific was 3 nights and 4 days.
and you saw that many changes in that time frame.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Australia is huge, and people
Hmm.
don't realize how big it is. It's nearly as large as the United States.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get if you wanna really get a glimpse of Australia, that's probably the best ride to take because you see it all.
Mm.
But
You're making me itchy for getting on an Amtrak. I keep thinking I could do the magazine and podcast on an Amtrak. I keep thinking that would be fun to do. I know you're not helping this idea. You're not at all. And I'm like, but then I'm like, but okay, I want to hop over to Australia and do this because you could have the wine. You don't have to cook, right?
yeah.
And internet has gotten so much better. You can have internet pretty much everywhere now. So this is sounding really good. I don't know.
Or you could pre-record and then go take the
But
4-day, 3-night train ride. Yeah.
and actually have fun.
Yes, exactly.
Don't work. Okay.
And then the Ghan, which is an iconic train ride. It is famous in the world. Your train lovers will have heard of it if they haven't been on it. The thing that's beautiful about that is it leaves from Adelaide to Darwin or vice versa, and it takes you through the Outback. So for us, when we took that train ride, that was our first time going through the Outback and into Darwin in the Northern Territory, which had its own mystique.
Mm,
And then the Great Southern leaves from Brisbane, goes along the
Southeastern
mm,
coast.
from
mm,
Brisbane to Adelaide. So you're seeing more of the water, you're seeing more greenery, you're seeing a
mm.
different part of the country on that train ride.
Wow. And what are the excursions like in the coastal areas? Are you going out to the beach ever? What? Yeah.
Yeah, initially for us on the Great Southern, we left Brisbane and it was in the summertime, so the weather was really good. The first stop was along the waterside at Coffs Harbor, where they actually had beachside dining set up in sort of an outdoor park-like setting. So, and you could leave the tables, take a glass of wine, wander out on the beach between between meals if you wanted to.
What are you doing to me? This is cruelty. I mean, really. And then you just get back on the train. I mean,
They
really.
they
Oh,
will bus you from the train to these excursions or to these events, to these dinners. Um,
wow.
let's see. The next
That's
day, I
pretty
think on the Great Southern was a choice you could make. You could go based on where they stopped, which was Port Stevens. You
good.
could actually take a bus to the Hunter Valley for wine, or stay there in Nelson Bay, which is part of Port
Hmm.
Stevens. That's sort of the dolphin capital of Australia.
So you had to
So,
choose between dolphins and wine?
yeah, I know a tough
Ah,
choice, but
We had already been to the Hunter Valley before, so we thought we should try something different and
yeah.
we went for the dolphin cruise.
Did you see the dolphins?
Yeah.
by the hundreds. Wow.
Okay. What are you doing to me?
We may be convincing you
Yeah.
to take a train ride with
But
Journey.
I
Yeah.
think that's the way to do it. Like, because if you're going to go all the way to Australia from the States, I think you need to stay there for a while. You don't
Mhm.
do it for a week. You need to, I would say 3 to 4 weeks. What would you say for going? Because it's a long trip. Like it is like going to South Africa is a trek. You
We
know?
Yes, it is, and, we typically go for 4 to 6 weeks. I think
Yeah.
we've gone for as long as 8 weeks. It just depends on whether we're taking side trips, it just depends on what we're doing.
Depends on which wineries are involved. Dolphins, having dinner under the stars, dinner at the beach. Okay.
Or
I'm
whose
curious.
birthday it might be. Yeah.
Okay, birthday
So
well, yeah, because these train rides are like celebratory, like they are something epic to do in your life. They're kind of a bucket list thing for a lot of people.
they are, and the great thing about traveling on the train, when you go to the lounge and you're drinking wine, you're meeting people and you're
Hmm.
making friends, and we found a lot of people that were doing exactly that. They were celebrating an anniversary or, that was a bucket list thing for them. They'd saved up for a while. Even it We even met 2 sisters for them, it was kind of a healing journey. One had lost her husband the year before, and so the 2 of them took this trip together, and we
Oh,
met them
nice.
in the station, and we were drinking sparkling wine with them, and it was, it's a special journey.
Would you say it's transformative, this kind of travel?
I'd
It
say so, yeah.
changes your view set of things in a different way, this kind of travel. Because I still go into the history of it, of how like trains, what they did to settle countries, settle places, how economies grew out of it, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think building them was so kind to the humans as they were building them. And I think that's kind of a global thing, but it certainly shaped civilization and how things work. I mean, I don't even think we'd have, you know, I mean, it's like Tombstone, Arizona, where the OK Corral happened, the big shootout there. They were a tent city and they were getting oysters from your area up in San Francisco, oysters from San Francisco because of trains. And they were
Right.
having, I mean, that's insane. When you think about it's in the 1800s and here that's how they're dining. And now we're able to be on these same tracks, everybody, maybe rebuilt and fixed up, obviously, but it's kind of like this historical way. It's like we're history in the present moment and
Mhm.
you're being able to see these places that you just I don't know. And it's got this romanticism when you travel on a train where you're imagining what is going on in the house you just passed. Like
Mhm.
who's in that house? I think that's what it is about travel in general. But do you feel that when you're watching things, you're wondering, well, what's going on in there? What's going on in that town? Because you're seeing
Oh,
homes, towns, everything, right?
you you're exactly right, and on the Indian Pacific, the very first stop that we made was in the town of
Broken.
Broken Hill, thank you, the mining town, and there was a so you get to learn a lot of history on that particular outing. They even do a reenactment of a labor movement
Mm.
meeting, which was quite rowdy. People are all dressed up in costumes, so you get a real appreciation for the history of it. And I think it was on that same trip that we came across a book in the Outback Lounge called The Cameleers, or was it on the Ghan?
Might have been on the Gone.
Might have been on the
Yeah.
Ghan. And it's a big, beautiful book all about the history of the Afghan Cameleers that
Hmm.
started out to begin with. So
They discovered the routes, and then the trains were built on the routes of the Cameleer.
Okay, so like the royal roads we have and like the El Camino, pathways you have in
Mhm, mhm.
California. So
Yeah.
did you feel like it's some of this history, like the mining, does it kind of connect you back to because you're in Sacramento and you've got the gold rush country in your
Yeah,
backyard. And you have
yes,
wineries in your backyard. Did you feel some similar
Oh,
history?
yes.
certainly. Absolutely. Tremendous amount of that. There were gold rushes in Australia. There were silver rushes, and then
Mhm.
today minerals are mined almost exclusively in the outback.
And then at the same time, you have sheep. That's a big deal. I remember
Oh,
doing a school project on this. Like it's all coming back to me now. Sheep are
Uh,
a big deal. Sheep, yeah,
They definitely are. Uh,
more than
I
we have
think
here.
I think we learned one time there are more oh, no, that's New Zealand. I'm getting them mixed up. New Zealand has more sheep than people.
Well, there you go. Maybe Scotland too. But in this country, it's a little different. We don't eat lamb like they do over there. It's a
But
little different. But yeah, that's what I mean about travel, opening our eyes, and you meet people, and it just feels like humanity feels better when you travel. You know what I mean? It does. Like when you meet people and find out that we all like the same thing at the end of the day.
And it does work like that. On the first train trip we took, the Indian Pacific, we met a couple that lived in New Zealand. They were originally from Sydney, and when they retired, they moved to, I think, back to New Zealand. We met them. It was just a short time that we spent with them, but we had such a connectivity. And then they had to get off the train in Adelaide, so we exchanged contact information. But we had such a connectivity with them that later, when we went to New Zealand, we caught up with them and we spent the night with them and
Wow.
continued that friendship.
had a lovely dinner.
See, but
Yeah.
that's exactly the thing. You never know who you're going to meet and what happens. And I think, like you were saying earlier, Gary, about how it's a train is small. It's not like a giant cruise ship. So that's the big one. Well, obviously you're on land. That's a huge difference. But it's immersive. It feels like this kind of travel.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
And
wine.
with wine. And another way that you mix and mingle with people on the train is it's not assigned seating. You get I think you get assigned a time, but you get in line to go into the dining room, and whoever is in front of you or behind you is who you're going to sit with. So you sit
Oh,
with different people every time. And that way you
oh.
get to meet a lot of different people from different countries, different
Mm.
backgrounds.
Do you, Pam, think that this would be a good adventure for a solo woman traveler? Because we have so many more women traveling on their own now. Would you recommend this for that?
I definitely would because
Mm,
people are just so friendly and
mhm.
so happy to, you know, travelers love to talk to fellow travelers. So I think it would be ideal. It would be safe and it would be fun.
Okay. Safe and fun is good. We like
Mhm.
that. And then,
Well,
mhm.
I was going to say, just to add to that, the staff is so attentive that, if you have questions or concerns for a single traveling person, male or female, or even if you're older, they're very accommodating. Even
Oh,
on the off-train excursions, they can
mm.
help you out.
That's cool. I just think it's cool that you had bunk beds. Like that takes you back to childhood, right? It's like who's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
on top, right? And
Yeah.
then they come and change it. It's like a Murphy bed. Come and put it
Right.
away. And then next thing you know, you're out there. This feels like, I feel like you're going through India. I always have, you remember those movies with getting on the trains in India?
Mhm.
But this is the Outback and just the culture. So when you do these excursions, are they talking about the people of the land? I know some of them were mining, like you were saying, all these wonderful dinners out in the elements, which is awesome. But did you get to experience some of the history of the people and the different cultures there?
You do. Every stop, staff gets off the train as well. And you can form a group and they'll take you on a more deliberate tour of things. There's one town, it's a remote, worn out mining town called Cook. It's virtually a ghost town now. But the staff will guide you through what went on there and why it became a ghost town,
Oh, wow.
how thriving it was before, what they were mining. So they're very informative historically, as well as attentive to making sure that you understand where you are and what
Mm.
the history of the place might be.
Now, did you see any kangaroos or wallabies
Plenty
from the train?
on
Yeah.
that train. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
sure.
All
They're
right, now
everywhere.
now I'm really jealous. Because come on, they're cute. Now, what about koala bears? Any experience with koala bears? You going to Australia all the time?
Uh, not not from the train, but we have seen koala bears before when I think when we've taken rides with friends.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool. I mean, you go to Australia, that's a big deal. I have to
Yeah.
ask. So the first thing I always think of is koala bears with
Yeah.
Australia. So good food.
Mhm.
And when they serve food and wine to you, is there any discussion of what you're eating, where it comes from, what especially when it comes to the wine, or what is that experience like?
The menu's very descriptive. It tells you where the food is sourced from. The wine is there's no sommelier on the train that's
Hmm.
telling you about the wine. I don't think. I don't recall that.
Most of the staff, though, seems fairly knowledgeable about the
Hmm.
wine, what it might be like, what it might taste like, certainly where it comes from, And of course, the menu gives you some hints as to the character of the wine itself. The dining cars are all white linen tablecloth. They seat four, and they're you're well attended by staff, friendly staff. They want you to enjoy and indulge, and they don't mind you asking questions.
Cool. Cool. I just think this whole thing. Now, is there another train trip that you think you're going to go on? Yeah.
In Australia,
Yeah.
there's a commuter route that we might.
Yeah. And there's a train, this is not under Journey Beyond, but there's a train ride in Tasmania called the Wilderness Railway that
Okay.
goes it goes from one small mining town to a port town in a pretty remote part of Tasmania.
Western
See,
Tasmania.
that's kind of the thing with the trains. You actually can go through cities, but then go through these completely remote areas that you're not even going to get to by car,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of cool. So,
Yeah.
you've done this in Australia. Have you done other train travel in this country or other countries, or is this strictly your Australian adventures?
We have taken the train in Europe, and we have taken the train, I think, just to San Francisco. I don't think we've done any epic train rides in the US, although I like you, I
No,
want to.
nothing cross country.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet on the bucket list.
Yeah.
So similarly, a trip across Canada would be
Oh,
an interesting
Yeah.
experience.
that would be right on the Trans-Canadian Highway. Like if
Uh-huh.
they have a train, that would
Yeah.
be pretty
And
epic.
the good thing about that train ride is you can get off and stay overnight in the towns and then get back on again. So you
Mm,
really get to experience part of Canada.
yeah. That I think they each have something to it. I like the idea of sleeping on a train though, having your own, and did you feel private enough? Like,
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
it's like you have your own hotel room, they're just small quarters, but
okay,
enough to
Not cramped though.
no, not cramped, enough to sit there and read a book and enough really seating for 3 people or and you have like I said, you have your own bathroom and your own shower, so
that's
it's
cool.
very, very private.
I love that, yeah. Now, did you peek out I mean, do you close the curtains at night or do you peek out? Like, do you at night, is there curtains? Do you need curtains? Like,
I think there are curtains. They may not fully close off the window, but it's typically dark. It's not like,
I know I'd still be looking out there at night.
well, the
If,
windows are quite panoramic, and you
mm,
do see a lot of remarkable stuff
mm,
passing by.
yeah, I'd be looking out. I think I'd be glued. I'd be
Yeah.
like, wine in hand, leave me be, you know? Is it the cruising thing? I always talk about people like they cruise and they're at sea for days, right? And if you have
Mhm.
a long sea, like I'm like, I'd be sitting there like, where's the whales? Where's the dolphins? Like, where's everything coming up? That's how I am. I'd be like, I want to see what's going on. So I think the train thing, I like that. I like having my feet on land too, and that feels like a good one.
Yeah, and
Yes.
the windows in the cabin are large, panoramic.
Okay.
They go from one end of the wall to the other, so you have plenty of room
Oh,
to stare out the window.
I like this. I like this. You got me a little hooked here. This has been dangerous, you two. This is very cool. Where's your next destination?
Well, if we return to Australia, I don't know that a train ride is in the making, but we certainly will go to Sydney to visit
Oh,
our daughter. Yeah.
mm,
Sydney's a pretty dynamic town, and she lives in a really lovely precinct there along the Blackwattle Bay.
mm,
Precinct is called Glebe.
mm. So precinct is like a county or a neighborhood.
Neighborhood.
More
It's
like
like
a
a
neighborhood.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, more like.
Okay, okay. And Sydney has like the famous opera house.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, it's gorgeous.
I've interviewed back when I was a teenager and we had the magazine in South Africa. I interviewed actors from the Sydney Opera House that came over to Port Elizabeth where we were and did performances, and they were just the best people and so talented. Oh my gosh, it was like the first time I'd actually seen like that's real theater. Like, wow, this is
Yeah,
off the hook, amazing. And they would tell us. I mean, this is way before Google or anything, tell us all about the Sydney Opera House and how important this is a landmark, and I really want to go there because of that just meeting them and interviewing them. I went to every single performance. They were there for 3 weeks, and I went to every single performance of the same play.
Good for you.
Man, it was awesome. It was, but it was just their talent was just through the roof good. I mean, this is like Broadway style, and I think that, people go to Sydney, you got to go. You got to go do it for me. Do it, So, yeah, the Opera House, go. I don't know.
We could share something with you about the Opera House. It's a story we just wrote. It just got published on
Oh, yeah?
Wednesday.
Are you going to send us a link so we can put it in the episode notes?
Yeah.
We could certainly do that.
So there's a company called Cultural Attractions of Australia, and they work with iconic cultural attractions like the Opera House to provide behind the scenes kinds of experiences. And one of the things that two of the experiences they have, one is Diva for the Day. So you can go to their costume department and get all dressed up and get your hair and your makeup done and go down to the Sydney Opera House and have your photos taken. Or if you want to take it a step further and you're a big opera fan, you can do a walk-on role. They dress you up and you become an extra. You're not going to have to sing, but you become an extra in the performance for the first half, and they guide you and then you get to come back into the audience and watch the rest of the performance. So I think you could do a whole show on that.
I think I want to go do the walk on. I can't sing opera, but yeah, that would be epic. That's cool though, huh? Because I think it's so interesting seeing how a play is even put together or any kind of performance, the background and how much goes into it. And it seems like how cool to have all that makeup done and everything. But imagine doing that every day for a performance.
No.
That
would be hard.
No, put me on a train with wine. I'll go see the performance. This is fantastic. It's so cool to spend time with you both. And so love following you guys on social media as well. Everyone, wine, wine, wine. That's not their social media handle, but you can go to pamandgarybaker.com. And from there, follow them on social media, see what they're writing about. So many articles on their website. There's a whole section on wine if you are if you're going to want to hang out there. They've been writing so much. I mean, you really have written a ton. So I have to say, you've written a lot. So
thank you. Yeah. It's a passion. We plan to continue it. So
well, yeah, I hope so. You got me all riled up wanting to go to Australia now. Pam, I know with IFTWA, there's the next conference coming out. So we can mention that. We're going to do a show coming up. I think it's in May. We're doing it April and May. We'll have a show with some of the board. But it's in Milwaukee, right?
It is, yes.
Awesome. So people should know conference about.
There will be a Milwaukee day, and the conference is, you don't have to be an IFTWA member. It's open to non-members. So if people are intrigued and they want to come and find out, there's professional development. There will be beer and there will be cheese and lots of fun activities and a great way to network with other travel writers.
How are you going to handle that, Pam? You're going to have to switch from the grape to the grain. Is that okay with you?
Oh, no, there will be wine there too.
Okay, she's making sure. The International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. So there will be wine. I know they make ice wine out there too. So
yes, they do.
Yeah.
All right. Have you had it? Have you had ice wine from there?
We've had ice wine in the Finger Lakes, but not from.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. Go to IFWTWA.org. We are here every second Tuesday, second Friday, and third Monday. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Next time we have wine.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show featuring members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We encourage you to visit their website. We say IFTWA, which is IFWTWA.org. You can also follow us at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels, everyone!